So at this point, I think it would just be easy to eat my phaser. Yum yum. Hi folks, Carl James here from Electric Media Madness. I'm joined again today by Dan Ryan.
Hello again.
Thank you for coming. We've watched another episode of Star Trek Picard, episode 8, Broken Pieces, which the title kind of...
It's quite fitting.
Yeah, it sums up this show, doesn't it, really? This is an absolute mess, an absolute travesty of an episode, it really is. I'm going to get into my thoughts as we go along. It's going to be pretty obvious, really, what I think from the beginning. But what we're going to do first of all is I think we're going to go through the plot. We'll be with this for quite a while because I have many pages of notes here. I wanted to try and find some way to sort of condense it, but again, it's one of those ones that jumps all over the place, doesn't it? So it's probably best to just things that we talked about, things I made notes on as we were watching it. And see where we get to, and then we'll have a bit of a discussion about the implications of the episode and various other bits and pieces afterwards. So we start with another flashback. 14 years ago.
Naturally.
They like to do that, don't they? Alex Kurtzman's gang. This was... oh dear me. We have the opening narration. Our four mothers. Not the forefathers. It's a matriarchy now. It's, our foremothers came to this system, and we see a planet. AIA, the grief world.
Once again, very fitting.
Yeah, a grief that we were suffering with it. But yeah, it's where all the true fans live now, isn't it? The grief world. It really is. So our foremothers, the Shatvash, they worked in the shadows to prevent the coming of the destroyer, and they say plural this time, the destroyers. Yeah. But it's been alluding to this for quite a while, several episodes way back. Soji meeting up with Rhonda and help me Rhonda, help me Rhonda. But there they are. There's 14 years ago, and we have 9 priestesses with a 10th one who is Commander O.
Without the sunglasses.
Without sunglasses this time.
It feels like she loses something without the sunglasses. Yeah. We need more sunglasses.
Lacking that funky look, isn't it?
They all need sunglasses.
Yeah. And we find out that she's she's like a half Vulcan, half Romulan. Yeah. Something like that?
Yes,
yeah. What's interesting, I'm not going to get too conspiratorial here. If you want to check out my books and talks I've done and videos I've done on my alternative knowledge research, I have written chapters and chapters, very lengthy chapters, about Star Trek and some of the esoteric stuff that goes on in there, and about Gene Roddenberry's encounters with a group called Lab 9 during the mid-1970s. And from that point on, Gene Roddenberry was very, very inspired by this idea of the Council of 9. So I whooped at this one when I saw the 9 priestesses around their glowing trampoline. Well, Rizzo is one of them as well. Yes. Yeah, that was something. And Rhonda is there as well. And they have to endure the admonition. Was it something like that? If you endure the admonition, if you can, that's common.
Then some really pretentious dialogue where it's like, if it doesn't drive you mad.
Yeah.
Like that.
And then it just goes batshit crazy. It really does. I mean, this show, so many things about it, but the death toll. And I mean, you pointed out as well that the rating for this TV series
on Amazon Prime. It is a 12.
It's a 12.
It's 12.
Yeah. I mean, we've had beheadings, we've had eye sockets and being yanked out, and all kinds of things being blooded up, veins in the eyes and face of Bruce Maddox. In this one, we get they really go for it, don't they? They all grab the glowing trampoline and they all start having these visions, and they see data and they see planets blowing up, and then one of them just grabs a phaser, shoots herself in the head. Another one caves in her own head with
a rock.
And then several others do it. It seems to be because there's only. There's Rizzo.
The other one starts ripping.
Rhonda starts ripping her hair out, and then there's another one starts ripping all the skin off her face. It's like that scene in Poltergeist where the bloke's looking in the mirror and all that, Crazy stuff.
How did it get 12?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Rizzo seems to be the. I mean, I think there's a tear running down her face or something like that. Rizzo, but something to that effect. But she doesn't seem to be affected by it in the same way there. Rhonda starts ripping out all of her hair, but she doesn't cave her own skull in or anything. And we know that she's alive because we've seen her post-flashback on the Borg cube. And Rizzo and Commodore O start talking. And I think Rizzo says, we have to stop them. Where do we start? And O, so on the world the humans call Mars. So alluding to the idea, and this is expanded as the episode goes on, that they were responsible for the attack on Mars. Yeah. So we jump forward to the present, I'm assuming. Yeah, it was a present, yeah. Rizzo, Rhonda on the Borg cube. When you lost your mind, you certainly did it with panache, Rizzo says to Rhonda. And then Rizzo starts going on about how if she'd have been... I'm a better
Borg than you.
Better if the Borg would have tried to assimilate her. Basically, they're discussing this that was alluded to several episodes back about how it is that Rhonda's ship didn't... they were able to sort of not quite get assimilated. And it sounds as though the assimilation failed fully because of what she knew about this. The destroyer and all the rest of it. So, even the Borg couldn't fully assimilate this strong woman. In my notes, as I thought,
of course not.
And then Rizzo gives her a little kiss on the head. And then she says to one of her officers, "Tell me you found the freak," which is Elnor. Elnor must have a freak. He's been put down. Poor Elnor. I mean, he's been given all names under the sun.
They say one nice thing to him, and then straight under the bus again.
Bully the white man. Bully the white man.
Poor Elnor.
Yeah, poor Elnor. We feel for Elnor, we really do. Yeah. So these Romulans, we jump to Elnor, and we have these Romulans fighting with it. No phasers around. No. Again, it's all hand-to-hand combat and swords and that.
Because who needs weapons, right? Just punch them.
In the late 24th century, you've got all this technology on a Borg ship, and you just...
I mean, even now, obviously...
even now, exactly, no, all you need is a good strong fist and a sword. He doesn't decapitate anybody in this scene, but he does hack away a fair bit of people. And in walks 7 of 9 again. She's back, blasting away with the phasers. It's Elnor hugs her. He looks so frightened. Poor Elnor.
Oh, poor Elnor.
He's freak. He looks frightened to death. He gives her a hug, and 7 says, "Oh, it's all right. I'm here now. It's all right." I thought she was going to kiss him at one point. I'm here now. I'll make all the bad men go away, Elnor.
Maybe Elnor is the audience character because we're all so scared of what they're going to do.
We're frightened to death of what they're doing.
We thought 7 of 9 got killed in this episode.
We thought 7 of 9 was going to come in and save the fans' day, by bringing it back to the original Star Trek.
But we thought they'd kill her, and
I still think that's going to happen. I'm going to say that here and now. I'll take it back if it happens, but I think 7 and 9 will be dispatched.
She was comforting us all.
Yeah, she was comforting us all, and Elnor.
Of course, poor Elnor.
Poor Elnor. Yeah. So we jump to the last arena. Terrible name for a ship, by the way. Picard and Soji having a little chat. Rios is all unsettled. "You're on your own now, Picard. I'm done," doesn't he? He says, I'll get this bit out of the way and then I'm off. So whatever's gone on with Rios. No, it just seems to have come from the fact that Jurati has been sort of what she did and exposed.
I thought it was after he saw Soji. That he...
Oh, right. Yeah, but I took that as the reason why he decided that he was out now was because of all the business with Jurati. He slept with her, obviously.
Assume, and probably a combination of both.
Yeah, but it wasn't explained.
No.
He's just thought, you know what, I've changed my mind now, I've had enough, I'm not bothering anymore, so get you to where you need to be and then I'm off. So this is an interesting bit of dialogue. Raffi berating Picard again for the umpteenth time in this television show, and probably umpteen times per episode as well. I'm talking about how big a fool you really are, she says to Picard. And then she starts going on about his mission, a fantasy about sacrifice and redemption.
Also, she's pulled a phaser on them both at this point as well.
Yeah, because of Soji, because of obviously little robot girl.
Such little respect for Picard. For
Picard, yeah. But again, Picard's apology tour. He says sorry to her straight away. I'm sorry about it. No, he says sorry to Soji. He says I'm sorry about her rudeness. So he's apologising for Raffi. Raffi says one pissant little neuron is what made her Picard go, supporting Soji. So we've got some plenty of cursing in this episode. A lot, I think, more in this episode than any we've had so far.
By far,
yeah. Which is also a 20th century slang as well. Pissant, I've talked about that before in previous videos about the use of contemporary slang in a time where very rarely ever been used before, but now it's all the time. We have a convenient little line from Raffi. They learn that Jurati had a tracking implant, and she's a Romulan spy. She's laying it out as though it's fact.
Yeah.
Picard, in fairness to the writers, I very rarely ever give the writers on this show credit, but they did put this little line in. Picard says fact or theory. Raffi says theory. But 2 minutes later, they're all talking about it as though it's fact, aren't they? Even Picard is,
It shows quite poor writing, because we know this.
But we've known this since episode 2, maybe.
We've known it for a long time.
Together for a while, yeah.
But they didn't discover it.
No.
They were just oh shit, we're on episode 8.
Yeah, we need to sort this out. We need to get somewhere now. A lot of this show is just confirming what confirming for other characters what's been shown on screen as well, for us to know that we've known episodes back. And now the main characters are finally finding this out. 6-7 episodes to establish these things. It really is. It's terrible writing. So to tell Rios about Jurati, see if it feels better to rub his face in it. Raffi to Picard, rubbing his face in it. Again, it's slang, contemporary slang. And then we have an interesting scene here. We go to, and again, this is typical of the bad writing of this show. Signposted, this is like Jurati. Oh, I'm a bad liar. We knew from that line then onwards that we knew Jurati was going to be, do all the things she was going to do. She wasn't going to be this sweet, quirky Jurati. She wasn't going to be, all that chewing a wasp was not innocent, And we have it here with the scene in the holodeck. First of all, Picard is talking to Admiral fucking Hubris, Admiral Clancy, on the holodeck. By holographic communication. Why he just didn't talk to her in his quarters on it, They keep using that set, don't they?
Well, he could have just rang her, really. In the previous episode.
Yeah, they're using communicators like mobile phones now, flashing and vibrating, so why don't they just get what's her name? Kestra's mobile phone? Yeah, just use that ringer, Picard says, and you thought I was a desperate old man, quixotic, paranoid, possibly senile. So this is Picard berating himself, even though other characters have employed these things about Picard already. The sad old Picard and Admiral Clancy. So he stands up to her.
Very surprising. He stood up to her.
It's shocking. He presents the facts. Says if you don't ask, you're a waste of time or space. I can't remember whether he said it was a waste of time or a waste of space. I think space, but... And so he's laying it all out for her. He's telling her what she needs to do. And then she turns around and says, shut the fuck up! What is wrong with this woman? All the fucking hubris. Now she's telling Picard, shut the fuck up. This is almost like the writers are saying this to Picard as well. This is about. Patrick Stewart doesn't give a shit. He's just paycheck, But fucking up this character, the legacy of the character, and then we have an admiral telling him to shut the fuck up again.
This highly respected and decorated admiral.
We don't know. Because that ties into what we were saying about the fucking hubris thing. We'll come to that shortly. So there may be something more untoward with Admiral Clancy, but we'll come to that in a minute. So she tells him to shut the fuck up, but then she tells him that they are sending a squadron of ships to rendezvous with them at Deep Space 12. And then she says, stay put.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that she tells him to shut the fuck up before she's going to say something nice to him, but she's going to insult him first before she... Yeah.
Fuck off, there you go, I'll do it anyway, whatever.
Yeah. So, and then we have the beginnings of something which is, unfortunately, it's unintentional, but it is absolutely... It's fucking hilarious, it really is, but not intentionally at all. We have an Irish navigator, the ENH, the Emergency Navigation Hologram, piss poor impersonation of an Irish accent. Reminded me of Patrick Stewart's French accent in the episode, in that regard. A shame, dear, to say this, but I cannot remember the name of the actor who plays Rios. Bad fan.
He does quite a bad job in this episode.
Yeah. I mean, he's not been too bad throughout this series.
I haven't noticed him being. He's been alright.
This one was a bit.
This is
a
big episode.
And even Rios as well. The character of Rios in this episode is all over the place in terms of acting, and dialogue didn't help as well. So there's a discussion here about the 8 circles, the conclave of the 8. Raffi wonders if the conclave of the 8 isn't a group of people or an organisation, it's actually a place. Where they get into this discussion further along in the episode about 8 planets being towed.
There's 8 suns.
8 suns being moved. How the fucking hell are you moving 8 suns? I mean, they couldn't even escape from a supernova, but they're moving 8 suns now. So, and there's a planet in the middle of it as well.
Sure.
So,
why not?
So Raffi says to the ENH, "You are my favourite hologram," and kisses him. Dear me. So we're off to the Borg cube now again. Rizzo finds her dead Romulan assistants that have been cut about a bit by poor Elnor and blasted a bit by Seven. Seven activates then regenerates the Borg cube. Rizzo starts panicking about the Borg that are in stasis, because if they're all coming out and we've got a Borg problem on our hands here. Her officer suggests that they space them, and she goes, "Oh, I like that." And then I mean, it was one of many examples in this episode where I started shouting at the television. No. Stop getting Star Trek wrong. We have the Borg regeneration effect, and it's like the Cybermats in Doctor Who running around all over the surface of the Borg cube. These little green, putting it all together. I mean, I've never seen that effect. Maybe they're trying to do something a bit gimmicky here, and something a bit visually different. But it's not. We had this sort of melting effect of the metal in previous Star Trek episodes when Borg ships were regenerating. It wasn't like little tiny nanite robot things crawling all over the surface and putting it all back together and that kind of thing. So
just thinking about that as a threatening thing, it's much more threatening for it to just come back together.
Yeah, there's something very sinister about it. It's a very simple effect. It's just like melting wax in a way. But I think they do believe they did that they melted it in some way and made it fall back. You shoot
at something and then it just comes back together. It's a lot more threatening than loads of little robots
first time I saw
rebuilding
that, it was really eerie, that, yeah. But there you go, this isn't Star Trek, so, so, like I say, we're jumping around all over the place. We're back on board the La Serena, Soji and Picard. Right. You don't know this is Soji to Picard. You don't know what it's like to have this vacuum inside you.
No, but he was a fucking Borg.
He was like cute as a Borg, which is a tad bit more than just And I also pointed out there are 4 lights. Gorman Tread's torture of him. He's been through the ringer a bit. Picard has. So I think but he turns around and he says, "You're right. I don't know what that's like."
But he does.
Yeah. I can only try and imagine it. Now, what's even more interesting here? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they haven't seen Chain of Command, which is like in the Chain of Command Part 2, which is like the top 10 episodes of polls of Star Trek The Next Generation. Or they haven't seen The Best of Both Worlds, which is in the top 10 of Star Trek The Next Generation episodes. Maybe they've seen The Inner Light, which is also in the top 10 episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. Because they're talking about life how it is that you can have implanted memories and a whole different life that now is fake, and you don't know what. And this is not mentioned at all. Picard keeps going on. No, I don't know what that's like. I can try to imagine the inner light. For fuck's sake! Picard lived an entire lifetime on this planet thousands of years ago before its sun went over on that episode as well, actually. And they managed to send a probe up and escape with the entire. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. He lived an entire lifetime on this planet in 30 minutes, telepathic communication thing. So he's had an entire life implanted into his brain. I don't think you've seen the.
I don't think I have, but
never mind.
Wish I had right now.
We'll get there. But yeah, so he's had that exact experience, false memories implanted into a false life, and then questioning because he questions his life on the Enterprise when he's in this false life, and then when he comes back,
Maybe he just forgot.
But the writers, they had canon camp, whatever that means, sitting around snorting something. I think that's what canon camp was. So I've said it before, I'll say it and again. Do you know Alex Kurtzman, Michael Chabon, who was the writer of this episode, who apparently is a huge Star Trek extranger? Have you watched Star Trek? What episodes have you watched? Did you read about it on Wikipedia? Because even on Wikipedia, the most trashiest place in the world, you can still find out about the Inner Light, the Best of Worlds, Chain of Command Part 2. What is wrong with these people? This is the episode for me. This was the pinnacle of everything that is wrong with Star Trek Picard. It really is. These are like classic Star Trek Exploration episodes, Picard episodes. And you're writing as if they never happened. What is fucking wrong with you people? Anyway. Right, you feel you don't have a past anymore, Picard says to Soji. Claims he doesn't know what you have a past. He says, you have a past. A story just waiting to be claimed. Who wrote this? Well, Michael Chabon, obviously. I feel Alex Kurtzman dirty fucking little fingers all over this one as well. But
I've just remembered where this conversation goes.
Right. So, we're nowhere near the best yet. We're nowhere near the best yet. We're going into that now, right. So, here we go then. Picard. I'm going to try and say this with a straight face now. Data was brave because they're talking about dating. Soji wants Picard to tell her about Daddy. Oh, he was a proper daddy, all right, to Picard.
Apparently so.
Data was brave, curious. I would argue that Data's never really been brave, apart from when he had his emotion chip, because he didn't have emotions. So you have to have emotions to be brave.
He just was, really. He
just did what he did.
He didn't worry.
He just did it. Yeah. Is that bravery? I don't think it is. I think you have to.
If you can't worry, then you can't really be brave.
Yeah, okay. Curious. Data was curious, so we've got 1 out of 2 right there. Yeah. Very gentle. Right. Okay.
Was he a little bit cute as well?
He throttled the Borg in descent. In fairness, he was under the influence of Data's emotion chip that Laura got there. But there's been lots of violence with that. Yeah, people would just say, well, that's his strength. Those are his abilities. He could be gentle, but he wasn't always. So I'll give them half a point for that. So
not the kind of gentle that Picard
yeah, not the kind of gentle that Picard's on about. So we've got 1.5 out of 3 things right here. He had a child's wisdom. Yeah, he did have that. So we'll give him. We got 2.5 out of 1, 4, 3, 2.5 out of 4. Unclouded by habit or bias. When he didn't have his emotion chip, probably, yeah. He did have a slight bias. Plus, he also had his Starfleet training bias. He was loyal to Starfleet. He was loyal to the Federation, loyal to his captain. So, if you can call that a bias. So, that's not really true to say he was unclouded by habit or bias. There's more to come. We're not even getting to it. I mean, this is how much... We're going to be here forever more with this.
It's going to be a long video.
He made us all laugh. Except when he was trying to make us laugh. Yes, that's true. Yeah, as a viewer, he did make us laugh. And most of the times it was unintentional. So we've got all that. Then, are you ready for this, folks? Are you sitting comfortably? Soji says to him, "And you loved him?" Picard, yes. In my way. Soji, did he love you? Picard, Data's capacity for expressing and processing emotion was limited. I suppose we had that in common. So, the big Data and Picard, unrequited love.
This explains so much of Picard right here. He isolated himself from everyone, you know? He only had his dog and his 2 servants or whatever, you know? He was just so upset and depressed that Data didn't love him.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't call his dog Spot in memory of Data's cat instead of number 1.
And that all the dreams as well. This
it explains all the dreams.
So,
you know,
for those few people out there,
wow. That's what the dreams were.
So those few people out there who wanted some Picard X Data.
I mean, of course,
any of the characters.
As viewers, I will leave it for you to decide.
Why Data? Why the not human one? The one who isn't alive.
Maybe he was into sex toys.
I could have even dealt with Riker, right? I could have even dealt with Riker or anyone. Why? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then she says, "He loved you." How she knows this? I mean, she comes from Data's neuron, whatever that means.
Depends what neuron it was.
Yeah. Maybe it was. No. We might not get into the X-rated stuff here. So there you have it. She tells Picard that he loved him, and Picard says he loved Data. There's somewhere out there.
Maybe Picard is Soji's father.
There's been people who have had like 2007 30 odd years of their dreams have just been made with this. They really have.
They got the posters
all the
on the wall.
fanzines and which is great for them, you know. Fair play to you, mate.
At least someone gets their dreams.
Yeah, somebody's been made happy. It wasn't fucking me, but somebody's been made happy by this episode. So there you go. So we now have another entry into our quota. I should have kept a bingo tally card for this one. We could mark them all off. We have another entry into the holographic hit parade for this one. We now have a Scottish engineer. No riffing on Scotty from the original Star Trek series. The EEH, the Emergency Engineering Hologram, with yet another bad accent.
We had to keep rewinding it. We couldn't.
Yeah, and the real problem with this
what he was
episode
saying.
was the sound mix on this episode was atrocious.
The
music was louder than the dialogue.
The stuff later on with in Rios' quarters was you couldn't hear
This
anything.
was really, really bad. Something clearly went wrong here. Captain Rios is in sworn need of a confidant right now. So is this the hospitality program now at this point? Because this was another thing that we had to keep stopping it, because with all we couldn't keep track of what was going on. We couldn't understand that because the accents were so bad as well. We couldn't understand what they were actually saying. The
Scottish one was very bad. Like you really couldn't. I mean, I have Scottish friends. None of them speak like this.
No.
One of them's got proper Glaswegian accent, and I can understand him fine. But
so Rios is in his quarters and he's getting drunk, and he gets out a load of his old Starfleet stuff. He pulls out a photograph of an old man, which turned out to be his former captain.
Yeah.
And a drawing of
that you could briefly see.
Yeah, we could see through it. You could see through it.
Yes,
but you could clearly see that
it was Soji.
We thought it was Soji.
It was Soji and someone else.
Yeah. Rios comes over the con. Rios, honey, it's Raffi. So we got honey. more contemporary. Thought you might need some company. Piss off.
She's like, all right, I'll piss off.
Pissing off. She says back to him. So we'll leave that for a minute because, like I say, it jumps all over the place. So we'll get back to know. Back on the ball cube now. It's decided they're going to have Seven's going to create a micro collective of Borg on the ship. And then there's some discussion about whether she wants to go ahead with it, and she talks about enslaving them again, and as we have all this thing about slavery.
She makes a very unusual comment, as I don't know whether I'll let them go after. Whether she wants to let them go.
Something to do with she thinks that being part of the collective again, she won't be able to. So it is very wishy-washy. That one little bit, but back on the La Serena again, Raffi, and now we have 5 EMHs. Was it 5 EMHs?
Yes,
in the holodeck. The scene was supposed to be funny. It was also a massive exposition of dialogue, info dump of the script.
A very boring one.
And it really seemed to go on, but it seemed to bring a lot forward. In terms of story, but we don't actually realise that until further on, do we?
No. It brings you almost to the point, but cuts before you actually see the point they're making. So it feels very pointless.
And like we say, it was supposed to be a funny scene. It was really awful. It was really awful.
You got the Irish.
Again, like we couldn't understand half the dialogue.
Was there a Russian as well?
It was the pilot.
Oh yeah.
The Irish one is a navigator. The Scottish one is the engineer. Then there's a hospitality one, which is English accent. And the other one, I hadn't got a clue what that accent was supposed to be.
But yeah, basically, the point I'm trying to... You got all these people sat in a room talking, and you can only understand like one or two of them.
Yeah, we're catching odd words here and there. I mean, we managed to sort of figure out that they were talking about Rios's... the reason why he left Starfleet and kind of investigating what happened there. And that's
but
what
you don't trying to even find that out.
No.
It's just them all saying, "Oh, one of us knows." Yeah. Ooh, and then that's like a couple of minutes long.
Yeah. And I thought we were going to be... I had my hopes dispelled when I saw the next time on Star Trek last week, because I thought we were going to be free of quirky Jurati this week, but we weren't. She wakes up at this point.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote this stuff, but... So... Jurati wakes and talking to Picard. Picard tells her that they know what she's done. Killing Maddox and that kind of... Bearing in mind that prior to that they were talking about it being a theory.
And Picard didn't really believe it.
Either. Yeah.
So he just comes to her.
So is he calling a bluff?
I suppose,
Maybe, I don't know. But again, it's not explained. So he asks her why she did it. And...
there's a bit with her entire thing in this episode is... This is skipping ahead a little bit, but she can't talk about what she saw. Because before in her cool sunglasses, mind melds and shows her the vision that she saw.
Which was more or less the same vision as them, them lots of the Council of 9 on the planet.
But she can't talk about it. But that's only really there for like 30 seconds, and then she suddenly... she's perfectly comfortable talking about everything. It's like there's no.
And I still wonder about the justification for killing somebody. I mean, Picard brings this up as well. He killed somebody you respected, somebody who was presumably your lover.
Yeah, it was shown that it was a lover. Yeah.
No, that he said to her, didn't he? Presumably, it was your lover. Like asking, is it a question? You killed him. I mean, that I still don't think that kind of works. Would you do that to somebody you cared about, despite the implications of what? Wouldn't you sit down and have a conversation with them first before you started to poison them and kill them?
I think it's meant to show her as a really emotionally strong character.
Emotionally fucked up character, more accurate.
Or she, she can make the tough decisions.
But she plays. I mean, again, to be fair, me just throwing that out there in a trite way, emotionally, fucked up sort of thing. But she plays that aspect of her character as well as the aspect that you're talking about. She's flitting backwards and forwards between those sort of times. She talks about how cold and desolate space is and this kind of thing. And
later
then
on in
she
the
goes,
episode, she's fine.
She with a wasp and all the rest of it, quirky Jurati. So there's no consistency.
She's a very poorly written character.
All over the place. Yeah. She says, talking about Commodore O here, she put poison in my mind, and then she says something else, which I poured it into my dad. Writing is just, and then we get again. These are the kind of words I'm going to use this terminology because this is from the episode, and it has been publicly broadcast, so it shouldn't make any difference to using this kind of language here. I'm quoting the dialogue from the episode here. Jurati, I think about suicide every day. That's how I comfort myself. I mean, what messages are they putting across here? Rating 12 rating.
Rated 12.
Kids watching this. So we get into this idea of what happened with the Conclave 8 and the Council of 9, as I call them. This event. Is this what they see in their visions? This event.
It's what they saw in the past.
Yeah. And this is the line now that I'm calling this. It's pretty obvious. Because of hubris. This event happened because of hubris. Which made me think immediately, I mean, they say hubris like Bruce Maddox. So that's insulting the character of Bruce Maddox again. But that hubris, Admiral Hubris, or the fucking hubris. And it's already implied, because didn't she meet up with Commodore O and talk about what was going on with the Tal Shiar and that?
She is the head of security, so that
I think Admiral Clancy is in the middle of this. She might be a patsy in it. She might be being played, but she knows what's going on. She's involved in this. She's involved in this cover-up, and I think that hubris, piss poor way of signposting it, by the way, but I think that's what they were trying to be clever. They were trying to be clever, which they're not. But I think that's what they were trying to do there, and I think we're going to find that's where that's going to go. That's what that word was put in there for. Hell will come again, Picard says, and they start talking about the threshold. We'll come to that in a minute. It completely lost me at this point. The threshold of artificial. I don't know. Soji walks in, and she says that she knows that she's the destroyer because she had the conversation with Rhonda and all that, and watched that video about it as well. So again, it's stuff we already know, but it's just bringing Picard and Jurati up to speed with what we've known for several episodes.
This could be so much shorter.
Yeah.
If we learnt at the same time as the characters.
2 episodes maybe?
Yeah.
To go through all of this,
Yeah.
We've still got a big 2-parter that's going to end the season, which, I head in hand, I think we're going to get such sweet sorrow the finale of season 2 with Discovery. I think we're going to get something along those lines.
I think, as I said to you earlier, I think the end of the first part, we're going to get evil Data showing up.
Well, we went in our private discussions. We talked about the Borg Queen coming back. We'll come to that shortly because we do get that. You said 7 of 9. I said Soji.
Yeah, before we watched it, I bet 7 of 9 will be the Borg Queen.
Yeah, well, we'll come to that in a moment. We have called a lot of these things, haven't we? We've been.
They're very predictable.
Yeah. I mean, you binge watched this, but even as you were watching it, you were calling things that were like 4 episodes long. Yeah. So we have Raffi bringing Rios some coffee, and then he starts talking about Captain Alonso Voldemort, Vandermeer.
I think it was
Vanderpump. Vandermeer, yeah. Rios used to pretend that Vandermeer was his father. Yeah. So we got more of this false father signalling. And it turns out, as he used in his words, a cold-blooded murderer. So his father figure was a cold-blooded murderer. But we'll get into more of that. Why that's where that goes. Quirky Jurati starts asking a load of stupid questions to Soji.
So it is Jurati and Soji sat alone in a room. A traitor who wants her cause wants Soji dead. They've got all the information they want. They want her dead now. And Picard and everyone else just leave them together in a room. Yeah. She's already killed one person.
And it was brought up in a line of dialogue. I think I'll come to it shortly, but I'm sure Soji says something along the lines of, "Oh, if I wanted to kill you, I could," or something like that.
I think she said, "Do you want to kill me?" She's like,
"Do you want to
not
kill
anymore."
Yeah. Oh, no, that's right. Yeah. But if Soji activates when she's threatened, Jurati's not going to be able to kill her anyway.
But letting a traitor...
No one's watching what's going on. No one's listening, no one's... Yeah. So she's asking all these stupid questions. Do you cry? You cry when you're sad?
What do you do when you're thirsty?
I drink when I'm thirsty. Fucking... My dog could write better dialogue than this. Give him a keypad and just mash his paws on it. And then she says, I think this is amazing. It's so beautiful. You're so beautiful. Or that's so beautiful. You are a wonder. A technological masterpiece. A work of art. Am I a person? So she says to her then.
Why robots?
But what is it transhumanism that we're getting into now? You know, I mean, why robots? Just biologicals. No, can't leave the robots out. That's full diversity now. We've got to get the robots involved as well.
Of course, it's only
fair. So you're missing them out. Am I a person? Not in theory, Jurati says, which is, again, the writers, they're in from their canon camp. They think they're being clever here because there was a Data episode called In Theory, quite a popular episode in Star Trek Station called In Theory. So they think they're being clever here with this. They're not, but... So we're back with Rios, and we start to get this story that has not been remotely signposted at all in the series so far, other than the fact that he's like
it's just kind of like
Starfleet.
You need to know this.
Roguish, but now all of a sudden you need to know it.
Yeah.
So he's talking about Rios starts talking about the Black Flag Directive, straight from Starfleet security. Again, we have corruption in Starfleet. Belittling what Starfleet has always stood for. I know there's arguments out there. You got Section 31 and all this kind of thing, and that was before Alex Kurtzman came along. That's fine. There's been plenty of other types of corruption gone on in Starfleet, but this is just a constant message that Starfleet
you're
is
constantly
wrong.
told that
they're bad. They're useless. They can't do anything right. They don't care. They're victimizing people. They're isolationists and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So Rios's ex-captain, apparently he murdered 2 people under Starfleet's orders, and was told that if he didn't kill them, that Starfleet would destroy his ship and kill all of his crew.
Charming.
So again, it's the same thing, but Starfleet bashing. So he did it, and then he put a phaser in his mouth and pulled the trigger. Right. Can you please stop getting Star Trek wrong? If you want to kill yourself with a phaser in Star Trek, these weapons have disintegration settings on them where you can vaporize a person. Basically, we saw it in Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. We've seen it so many times. We've seen it so many times in this show. You don't have to put it to your head. You don't have to put it in your mouth. You just vaporize yourself. It's as simple as that. Stop getting Star Trek wrong. Learn your facts. I'm seething with it. I really, really am. This is why I just keep getting distracted from it. Rios apparently covered up this event with his captain murdering them. And he says he did it because he didn't want the ship being destroyed and the crew being killed. So he said his captain killed himself for no fucking reason at all.
Yeah.
6 months later, he was kicked out of Starfleet for what they said was post-traumatic dysphoria. And then Raffi, in such a fucking patronising way, "Oh, I'm so sorry, babe." Babe? So Soji looks just like one of the people that Captain Rios murdered.
Yeah.
So Soji says to her, "Would you believe me about that kind of killing her?" And Jurati says, "No, now that I've met you, I would never kill you."
Because she's in love now.
Just like that. Just like that. No explanation. We're back on board the Borg cube again. Rizzo, cold-blooded killing all the ex-Bs, the ex-Borgs, by the way. And you called this one.
I did.
You did. 7 is the new Borg Queen.
Yep.
She gets connected up with the tubes, a bit like the Borg Queen in Dark Frontier and First Contact and Endgame Voyager's finale. Since when does Borg assimilation make your eyes go black? Never happened in the show before.
Because it looks
good.
menacing.
And then when it's all over with, your eyes go back to normal again.
And you're fine. No strain on being Borg.
Well, we assume that at this moment that might change.
Maybe.
But, yeah. Jumping backwards, forwards again. Girardi, I'm done murdering people. Just like that. I'm done murdering people.
The worst acted line I've ever seen.
It's an appalling line, appallingly written line, appallingly acted.
She just walks in.
She just walks in and says,
I'm done murdering people.
Just like that. So that's a good thing. That's the next thing she says. So that's a good thing. You know, like quirky Girardi.
Weird and wacky.
Yeah. She's going to turn herself in now. Apparently she's going to hand herself over at the start base. She's going to hand herself in. She's like, I'm sorry. You are the closest thing in a long time, maybe ever, to having a... And then she's crew.
See, the
so
thing is,
I was going to say a family there, but I would have cringed at that one.
She is a scientist.
Yeah.
So when do scientists have a crew?
No.
She wouldn't normally...
Teams that work with them, but not a crew.
Crew is, a more militaristic term.
But she ends the sentence with that section with, sorry I had to fucking ruin it, so I got another F-bomb there. That was another one for the bingo card. We'll get there, honey, Raffi says to Soji. So, honey, babe, honey, babe, all that kind of thing going on. Oh yeah, so we're talking about the admonition. There's all these terms being thrown about, the admonition and the threshold. They talk about synthetic evolution threshold. It tipped the threshold, isn't that? And then the Shatvash, that was what caused them to find and terminate all synthetic life. I mean, they clearly think they're trying to be clever using these words, but it means jack shit. But so the mandate here is to stop all synthetic life, research and development, and all that kind of thing. And then because it's put across as a question that the Mars attack was, but that's weird because it's established pretty much in the opening flashback that they were responsible, but because what we see as the viewer, the main core of characters have to be behind that. Yeah, they talk about the attack on Mars being possibly the Romulans, as in question. Is it? Was it the Romulans? In fact, yeah.
This is why sometimes it's so boring to watch because
there's no internal continuity to their own episodes. It's like you establishing something, then they're asking it as a question.
Yeah, it's like
we know as the viewer, we know that it's not needs.
We should learn it as they discover.
We should be learning it as they. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So was it Jar Jar or Jana was one of these people that was in the two people that Rios is captain, and the other one was called the beautiful flower. The fucking beautiful flower.
Maybe that's what Picard calls Data.
Maybe in his dreams, bless him.
And he has a lot of those.
Bless him. He's missed Data.
He misses. Yeah. Poor Picard.
He misses. But yeah. So it come from Bruce Maddox's world to continue. So they came from Bruce Maddox's world to continue the work, the synthetic work. Rios captain was Vandermeer, was it? Yeah. Ordered to kill these two, the beautiful flower and Jalala or whatever her name was. Soji freaks out at this point. She goes running onto the bridge. She puts up a force field. She sets course for her homeworld. Rios starts singing a lullaby, which is
sure. We've already had Picard X Data.
You know what? I've talked in my Doctor Who reviews. I've talked about Chris Chibnall sitting down with his crack pipe when he was writing it. I mean, these lot here.
This episode.
What did they get? It was some bloody good stuff, wasn't it? It really must have been for them to churn this. I mean, they weren't even on the planet, were they? They weren't even in the Star Trek fictional universe. Oh, I don't know. So he sings this lullaby, which is like a code to shuts down all of Soji's tra-la-la-la that she's doing on the bridge and that. Just
Very
like that,
convenient
just conveniently,
feature.
just works. So they're all on the bridge, and curiously, again, they've left Jurati on her own. She's not there on the bridge with them.
She can do anything right now.
But because she says she's sorry and she's not going to do it again, and she's a woman,
And she's not going
and
to
they
murder
believe
any
her,
more
and she's
people.
not, well, that's okay. That's okay. So imagine, right? You'd murdered somebody, and then you were in a court on trial, ready to be sent down for it, and then you said, "I'm sorry, I won't do it again."
Like, no problem. Yeah, go.
That's the law. That's the justice system in the late 24th century. No, in Kurtzman's universe, anyway.
You know, if they're like this, I can see why they think Starfleet is evil.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like the upside down in Stranger Things, isn't it? What's good is bad, and bad is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, they're all on the bridge. They've left her on her own. She could be sabotaging the ship. She could be.
Could be doing literally anything.
No. She's doing nothing. She's been a good little girl.
She won't murder anyone anymore.
Quirky Jurati. She's just sitting around in sick bay, twiddling her thumbs. She's probably eating that dough cake that Laffy gave her in the bridge.
Or those fries left on the table.
Yeah, fries. Yeah, what that was all about. Yeah. And then we have Picard in the captain's chair. I thought we were going to get yet another engage, or tea your grey heart, or the shirt talk and all the rest of it. But he says, I don't know how to do this. He was in Starfleet for fucking decades. He knew about engineering, he knew how to pilot shuttles, he knew how to pilot starships, and the list is endless, it really is. He doesn't know how to do it. Maybe it's his condition, his mental condition, his Ironic syndrome. Maybe he's just suddenly
just this certain
brain farted, But there you go. So we don't get that moment. In a way, all those moments are cringe now, so it's neither here nor there for me. Captain Rios, please take me home. Soji.
Please, Daddy.
Please
take me home.
Please take me home, Daddy. Picard. I'm sugar daddy. Techno Shudik. We have a jump back to the Borg cube now. The Romulans have just suddenly turned into Borg. I'm assuming they were just, some of them were assimilated maybe. I don't know. It's been explained. They tried to get Rizzo, and instead of injecting her with tubules straight
they just
away,
kind of go
there's like 25 of them all like Walking Dead, all climbing all over her. And she beams away from underneath it.
Yeah.
Every time we see the Borg, they get them, neck in, tubules in, straight away you're infected with the nanites. No pissing about,
They've been alone for a long time.
Yeah,
seeing a female, they got a little excited.
Yeah, with all this female affirmation, they saw Rizzo and thought, I'm having a bit of that. Pointy ears do it for me.
They've been in stasis for quite a long time, okay? They see a woman and they just can't help.
Yes, red-blooded males, yeah. So Picard's back in the captain's chair, and even though he's forgotten, he doesn't know how to do anything, it turns out that he also has forgotten how much he loved doing what he does, sitting in the chair, because he goes, I've forgotten how much I loved it. But then Starfleet bashing again. Starfleet did betray him. Talking about Captain Vandermeer, did we betray ourselves, he says, about O giving Vandermeer that order. We gave way to fear. So we're tub thumping again on all that kind of thing. And we have one of the most offensive little pieces of dialogue here now. I firmly believe that this was directed at the old, true Star Trek fans. I think this was firmly squared at the likes of me and people that have loved Star Trek for many, many, many years. Don't love it now. They're talking here about the situation with Captain Vandermeer and other bits and pieces that have been established in the show. But I think they're actually talking about the state of Star Trek now, where it is.
Yeah.
So what I would ask viewers to do is just think about it in those terms. The past is written. The future is left for us to write. We have powerful tools openness, optimism, and the spirit of curiosity. All they have is secrecy and fear is the great destroyer. Right. So let me translate that for you. The past is written. So all those old shows, Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, they're there. They're going to piss all over the canon and they're going to try and destroy it. But there's nothing they can do about the fact that they exist unless we have a Fahrenheit 451 book burning type thing going on with DVDs and that. They're all erased from history, which wouldn't surprise me at some point along the line, but there we go. So the past is written. The future is left for us to write, i.e. the writers now of Star Trek. They can do what they like. The future is theirs. The past is ours. The future is theirs. Everything forward is theirs. It's not ours now, it's theirs. We have powerful tools, which means they are able to influence the Access media. They have all the critics on their side. They don't control the fandom menace on the internet and things like that, you know, on YouTube. But they have the mainstream media well and truly in their pocket for the most part. So they do have powerful tools.
Yeah.
We have openness, which they don't. They're lying through their fucking teeth about what they're doing. They think they're doing wonderful things with Star Trek. They're not. They know that they're not. They know that people totally despise what they've done to Star Trek, and the few hang-oners that are left are very small in numbers. So no, they're not open, but they believe they are. But this is about all their propaganda.
Yeah.
Optimism. 3 words: Star Trek Discovery. The most dystopian, narcissistic, dark, depressing, nihilistic, socio-psychopathic, murderous turncoat
shit.
Yeah. Optimism. Star Trek Picard is not optimistic either.
Not at all.
It's not. But
I mean, how many people have committed suicide in this episode?
Exactly. Yeah. And the
that
beheadings and
yeah.
Star Trek Discovery, we have baby beheadings as well, and you know, and the list goes on and on. The spirit of curiosity. No, the spirit of agenda. Your own ideological, political agendas. You've got the spirit of that, and that's tokenistic. It's not genuine. I fundamentally understand the ethics behind diversity and inclusion. I'm very, very much in favour of all that kind of thing. But you have to believe in what you're doing.
And it can't be done in a forceful way.
It can't be done in tokenistic and yeah. It's got to be meant. And Star Trek has done it many, many times in very, very subtle, clever, thought-provoking ways. They prevent both sides of the argument, and they leave it for you to decide. But they don't preach to you. They don't bash you over the head with it. So, yeah. And they, meaning the true core of Star Trek fans, all they have is secrecy and fear. I believe that is directed at the fandom menace on YouTube. They are constantly labelled as ists and phobes, creating fear.
Yeah.
I think that's what that is. And fear is the greatest destroyer. So those people who are defending what Star Trek is, what is great about Star Trek and what it used to be, channels like Nerdrotic, Midnight's Edge, Doomcock, Overlord DVD, World Class Bullshitters, That Star Wars Girl, Mecha Random 40, it goes on and on. There are so many channels on YouTube that you can go and watch these channels. These are real hardcore Star Trek fans, like myself. They've watched it for years. They're protecting the integrity of our cultural mythology. And so, no, it's not about, and they are certainly not the great destroyers. So think about that. Next time you watch this episode, I would encourage people to think about that in that context. I find that very, very offensive. They call us offensive. No, that is offensive. That is absolutely offensive. And if we're talking about equal, everybody being equal and inclusion, that's exclusion. That is exclusion. That is labelling people something that they're not. And ostracising them and excluding them. Yeah. So rant over. But I thought it was very, very important to say that because it's very much a part of what this is. Because every single scene of this episode has been exactly the same. We have another one here. Soji gets out her compass that Kestra gave her in the previous episode, right? Which apparently didn't work.
No, it's broken.
It's broken and it doesn't work. But it works, and get this, it works in fucking space!
Maybe that's why it didn't. Maybe it only works.
It points to north!
It points to north.
What? What the fuck is going on here? Magic compass?
I mean,
Magic compass?
I can't remember, but I think it was about year 2 or 3 at school that I was taught how compasses work.
Yeah.
So
you need to have magnetic north.
Yeah.
You have to have a pole where there's magnetic planets. You know, it doesn't work like that in space.
I mean,
a compass would not work in space. It's as simple as that. But it does here. It tells her where north is. It tells her the way to go, and off they go. They I mean, it begged the question: where are all the science advisors on this show? Probably on the same crack pipes that they were on. You know?
Just like whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. The days of science advisors on Star Trek are, Harry Potter advisors now. Magic will do it. Yeah. Magic time crystals and Iron Man transporting suits, time travel. Oh, whatever. So they go. They conveniently just find this transwarp conduit, and they fly into it, followed by a Romulan ship, and we don't know who that is. We've speculated it's probably Narek. It could have been Rizzo or something like that, but I think
maybe
it's Narek.
Using the power of angst, he tracked them.
The power of angst.
He tracked them.
The power of angst can do it all. Because he wasn't in this episode, was he?
He wasn't. No.
And was he in the previous episode?
Yes, he was chasing
Briefly,
them.
that's right.
He was chasing them.
Yeah. So that's it for this sorry lot of an episode, which is why I have the phaser out.
Serious business.
I have the phaser out. I need to deal with Star Trek Picard. Thoughts?
It was a very boring episode. Just not much happened.
It wasn't just that for me.
I don't have the extra.
I mean, people say, no, you're exaggerating. It's a very, very different thing. Actually, I am sort of getting towards a level of anger my anger for what happened in the finale of Doctor Who came after I had like a sort of a little grieving period after I'd filmed the video. It hit me what they really, really had done. And it's fucking abysmal. It's a crime what they have done. I apologise for all the swearing in this video.
But there was more in the episode, so it's fine.
Well, there was more in this episode of Picard, so yeah. What they did to Doctor Who was unforgivable.
Oh, it's awful.
But Star Trek Picard is getting there. It's getting there. The anger I had about so I apologise if you may possibly hear we had a slight technical hitch with the camera here, so at this point you might hear a little bit of buzzing on it, but we're coming towards the end of this video now anyway, so yeah. But we just wanted to just cover that what we were just talking about the total disregard for canon, the total disregard for the past of the characters, total disregard for internal character motivation in the stories as well, because it's so inconsistent. It's all over in its own thing. It just lurches all over the place. Acting, dialogue, nonsensical things like compasses that work in space, and what you're saying is right. I mean, you said that the episode inherently was just nothing to it. It was boring. Which is another thing. How is it that you can have an episode where nothing really happens and it is so boring, but there is so much in it that is so infuriating and so shit as well?
I have to wonder if it is disregarding canon, or they just don't know it.
I think,
or just a mix of both.
There is so much that I've read. I genuinely do not believe that they know. They can't.
No, they can't.
Unless I also think a big part of it is if they do, they don't care. They do not care. They are the Star Trek that they're making now.
No,
is not for us.
I mean, I don't know Star Trek that well.
But even
I know certain basic things like phasers vaporize you. Just basic things like that.
Yeah.
But Rios and Jurati in this episode, their acting was dreadful, and Rios was a big focus. She was quite big in this episode, but they both really.
And I tended to think that 7 of 9 was quite redundant as well. She wasn't in it that much.
No. And that was the more interesting part of the episode, really.
Yeah.
And they just, I suppose it was to stop people falling asleep, maybe.
I don't know. I really don't know what to. Well, I do. Shall we put? I can't say anything more about it. I think I've said it all. I've ranted and raved. Is there anything else that you wanted to?
Yes. One thing.
Yes.
This entire storyline is a fucking rip-off of Mass Effect, an extremely popular game series which some of you may have played, some of you haven't. But I'll briefly summarise it. So there are these ancient, extinct race of creatures called the Prometheans, who create these beacons to warn the people of the future what has happened in the past, which is these mechanical life forms known as the Reapers came and killed everyone in the universe, and this is a cycle which repeats itself, which very much in this episode is the story.
I mean, I've never played it. But
the story of this episode
much, but
is just.
But I'm aware of it. Yeah.
The story of this episode is the mechanical beings killed everything in the past, and they're all extinct and that, and then they left a beacon to warn the people of the future so they can stop it again. It's just. I mean,
but then nothing is original in Hollywood, is it? Anyway, especially with the likes of Alex Kurtzman.
The way that both of these beacons were done looked quite simple. The way that the vision is presented.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you might get away with ripping off a small game, which it looks like they have got away with it now.
Well, yeah, with an Asabdeen and absolutely.
It's like,
with the tardigrades. Because that is a blatant case of ripping somebody off and taking, and just pissing all over this Asabdeen's hard work and all that he's gone through. It's disgusting. It really is, and people do need to look into that case because
they really do. Yeah,
it's uncanny. This is not just a coincidence. You can clearly see that his work has been plagiarised.
Completely.
Yeah. Whatever you want, whatever people say. I mean, for legal sake, I'll put in our opinion. In our opinion.
Yeah.
But it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I'll leave it for you to decide, but it speaks for itself. And we know what's gone on. Yeah. So they're gonna, if that can happen, then you're right. Absolutely, Mass Effect. No qualm for them, not whatsoever. Yeah. Go on then, rate it out of 10.
On the basis of not knowing, I'm not as much into Star Trek as you. I am currently watching it at the moment for the first time, so I don't. All the stuff contradicting the lore, I don't know all about that, so I don't find it as offensive. But it's really boring. I'd give this a 3 probably, on the basis that the rest are all around a 5. So,
okay.
What about you?
Within a minute or so of the episode finishing, I was waiting for something that I could find redeemable about this episode. There was nothing, absolutely nothing at all about this episode that I could say I liked, was good. I couldn't think of a thing. I thought about it afterwards. I was reading through my notes and all that. I had a bit of time to go through it all and that and think about it before we looked over it all again before I went back, before we sat down to do this. No, and it isn't just a case of what there isn't, in terms of what there is, which I find offensive, nonsensical, absolute shite. 0.
0. Is that your first 0 on this channel?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't even give it a 1. I can't even. It's just utter tripe. It's tripe. I don't know what else to say. I'm absolutely. Well, I'm not speechless, obviously, because I'm going on about it, but I am utterly dumbfounded. I don't know what. I can't get my head around it. I really can't. I gave the Timeless Children that more for that than this. What? Why? I don't. It had Sacha Dhawan's acting in it.
Yeah.
I can't.
I
can't. I cannot find anything with it. I can't. I don't know. I'm not going to give any credit for something if there just isn't any there. It really isn't.
You've made a very valid point, and I'm sat here thinking, and I actually can't think of anything good about it either. So I may have to lower that rating.
And the thing of it is normally I can. Baddie's good, baddie's funny sometimes. Unintentionally, you can say I actually enjoyed watching it because it was that. I didn't even get that out of it.
But
I didn't even. I was just
hilarious.
I was just like, what the? Are you playing that when I was watching it? What? Why? What? I would. Yeah. No.
But we had some excellent line delivery. I won't murder anyone anymore. And a beautiful relationship blooming.
Broken Pieces sums it up.
It really does.
It really does.
And then after it, you're on the world of grief.
Yeah. And heaven knows where this final two-parter is going to go. It's only 2 episodes left now. So
somehow
we'll have to.
Nothing's really happened. A few episodes worth of stuff has happened in 8.
So yeah, with that, yeah. With that, we are going to round this video up. We hope you've enjoyed watching. Thank you very much for watching. I also want to say thank you very much to all those people who have been. We're getting there slowly but surely. It's ticking along. The people who've liked the videos, those people who subscribe to the channel. Please keep doing so. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it about if you can. Click for notifications. I really, truly do appreciate all the support that everybody is giving me. And we will see you in the next video.
Goodbye.